Namaste yogis, welcome. My name is Kassandra. Today I'm going to take you through a new elemental class. We're going to work with the element of air. This is a Vin to Yin practice, so we're going to start with a dynamic vinyasa flow followed by some passive yin yoga poses. Now, the element of air is one that is connected to our hearts as well as to our minds. So it's our ability to stay alert, to continue to move, and to feel ourselves connected through all other living beings. We all breathe the same air. So when I think of air, I always think about birds taking flight. So in this practice, we are going to work through some balancing poses, and we're also going to work on some backbends. Because we're working and connecting with the breath, we're going to emphasize this by really working on the areas around the lungs. So opening up through our chest into our shoulders and our upper back with some nice heart openers. Again, we're working with this heart chakra. So feeling compassion for all things. Remembering that the element of air supports us throughout the course of our lives. Air can be extremely turbulent, it can be very violent, it can be very active and forceful, but air can also be the passive air that is all around you and that is ever present, the air that you don't even really notice or rarely acknowledge. So this is also a practice that's all about gratitude for the elements that we might take for granted. So you might want to have some blocks somewhere close by, and we're going to start right away opening up through the upper body with a child's pose incorporating thread the needle. So your big toes can come together to touch. I'm just going to move my microphone a little bit here. And instead of folding straight forward, think of reaching your right arm underneath you, letting ear and shoulder come to the floor, and you can extend your left arm up overhead. And I like to dynamically push into both arms, both hands, just trying to open up in between your shoulder blades. And the emphasis of this class is on your breath. So even though there's some constriction here, can you still breathe deeply in and out through your nose? And I'm reminded of the expression, when we say that people have their head up in the clouds, or people are very airy, might mean that they have a lot of imagination, that they're very mentally alert. And usually it might be meant as an insult, but I don't really think it is. It's good to be grounded through the earth, but we also want to let ourselves fly, let ourselves open up, let ourselves dream and connect. And slide your left hand back, push into the palm, come back up, and we're going to go to the other side. So thread your left arm underneath you, shoulder and ear down, and you can stretch your right arm up overhead. So even in this pose, can you breathe into the back of your heart so that with every inhale, you feel your rib cage expand front to back, side to side. And as you exhale, it softens a little more. So how can the element of air support you? Where is it present in your life? Come all the way back, and let's find a little puppy pose stretch. So lifting up onto hands and knees under your hips, walk your palms forward, and melt the heart and the forehead down towards the ground. So stretching deeply through your shoulders, through your upper back. Soften your belly. And not necessarily exaggerating your breath, but really allowing it to be full. Come forward into your Sphinx pose, so let your hips come down to the mat, open up through your chest as you broaden, expand and pull your heart forward. Exhale to release. 3 baby cobras as you inhale, chin, chest, palms off the floor. Exhale to lower down. Twice more. Inhale, squeeze and lift. Exhale to release. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. Push back. Let your hips sit on your heels. Bring your fingertips back behind you. And think of lifting your heart up towards the sky. Bend your elbows. And almost as if you're trying to bring your elbows, squeezing them in towards one another, while opening up through the throat, through your heart. Breathing it in, downward facing dog. Hands shoulder width distance apart, feet are hip width distance apart. And go ahead and move in any way that feels good to you here. Maybe paddling out the feet. Feeling that stretch through your arms, through your spine, through your chest. And we'll walk our feet forward to the top of the mat, ragdoll pose. So you can bend your knees generously here and hold on to your elbows with your palms, maybe swaying a little bit side to side. And we'll emphasize the breath here in this ragdoll pose by taking 3 breaths. So in through the nose and big sigh out the mouth. Doing that 3 times. So whenever you're ready at home, inhale. Letting it go, like you're clearing the cobwebs. Last one, making space. Hands come down, bend your knees a little more, push into your heels as you roll all the way up to stand. Standing at the top of the mat, reach your arms up overhead and hold on to the elbows and the forearms, just like what you did in your ragdoll pose. Inhale long, and as you exhale, side bend, push into your hip. Inhale to center and go right away to the other side, side bend. Inhale to center, cactus shape with your arms, squeeze your shoulder blades behind you, open up through your chest, little back bend here, keep your elbows up. And exhale, fold all the way down to the floor. You're welcome to bend your knees here if you'd like. Halfway lift, flat back, lengthen. Exhale, plant the palms, step the feet back, plank, inhale. Exhale, lower to your belly, point your toes back, cobra. Hang out here, keep your elbows bent and hugging in, and really pull your heart forward. Breathe. Exhale to release, press back, hips to your heels, just like what we did before. Fingertips go back behind you, open up. And downward facing dog. Tuck the toes under, lift your hips up and back. From this down dog, reach your right leg up to the sky. Bend your right knee and open up your hip. And balancing a little bit here, see if you can come up onto your right fingertips. Maybe even look underneath your right shoulder as you twist a little bit here, a big side body stretch. So like you're floating on a cloud, trying to practice this element and this act of weightlessness as you step your right foot forward in between your palms to the top of the mat. Warrior 1, so let your back heel come down to the floor. Inhale, arms rise. Let's interlace our fingers and place them towards the back of your head, kind of like the nape of your neck. Scoop your elbows forward, lift up through your chest, and then find a little bit of a back bend. So you need to have a big, deep bend in your front knee so that you're nice and stable through your legs. Opening up here and come all the way back to center. Cactus shape with your arms once more. Let's find warrior 3 with cactus arms. So it's almost as if you're doing a little cobra pose here. Think of squeezing your shoulder blades back and pulling your heart forward. So just like a bird, floating, flying, try to be light on your toes so you're not digging them into the floor. Flying through the wind, mountain pose, release. Close your eyes. Slow, steady breaths. And feet hip width distance apart. Let's find that side bend once more. Hold onto the elbows and press your hips out to the side. Inhale to center and over to the other side. Coming all the way back, cactus with a little back bend, open through your chest. Exhale, fold forward all the way. Halfway lift, flat back. Plant your palms, step the feet back, lower down all the way. Elbows in, keep them in and keep them bent in your cobra pose. So pelvis is down on the floor. Open up and release. Bring your hips towards your heels, fingertips back behind you. Open up, big stretch here. Keep the elbows bent and squeezing in. Downward facing dog. Take a cleansing breath in your down dog. In through the nose, out the mouth. Left leg rises, bend your left knee, open up your hip. Working on balance a little bit, come up onto your left fingertips and start to look underneath your left shoulder and left armpit. So rather than feeling heavy and grounded like we would in an earth-based flow, here we're trying to find lightness, buoyancy, lots of freedom in our movements. Let's step the left foot forward in between the hands, coming into warrior one on the second side. So ground that back heel down, push firmly into the legs as you lift up. Interlace your hands a more unusual way, and once more bring your palms to the nape of the neck. Scoop the elbows forward. Think of lifting up before leaning back. So I don't want this to be felt in your lower back. I want you to emphasize really the space at the front, the sides, and the back of the heart. All through your lungs. Big breath in here. Come all the way back to center. Cactus shape with your elbows. Warrior three. Standing on that left leg, right leg extends back. So keep the elbows just as high as your shoulders. Think of pulling your heart forward. So where in your life do you need a little bit more lightness? A little bit more space to breathe? And come all the way. Mountain pose. Relax your arms by your sides, palms shining forward. So this time, moving into a different kind of side bend, you're going to reach your arms up, catch a hold of your right wrist with your left hand, cross your right foot back behind you, and crescent over to the side. So your left knee is going to bend, and you're pushing out into that right hip. Inhale all the way back up, and let's switch sides. Hold on to your left wrist, cross the left ankle back, and push out into your left hip. Inhaling to center, interlace your fingers behind your lower back, roll your shoulders down and away from the ears. Back bend as you open through your chest. And coming back up. Let's find our eagle pose. So start with your arms, elbows bent at a 90-degree angle, left arm under your right, binding once or twice. Bend into your knees, lean on your right leg, and cross your left thigh over, maybe looping the toes back as well. So flying like the eagle, still finding some stability by pushing your arms together, squeezing your inner thighs together and bending generously into your knees, while also maintaining some lightness, some buoyancy. Slow, steady breath. Keep your arms as they are. We're going to take warrior three again with our eagle arms. So unwrapping the legs, left leg stretches back, balancing on the right. Squeezing it in, release the hands down to the floor, standing splits, open up nice and wide. Downward facing dog, step it back. Before we take our flow here, those of you, if you would like, you have the option of coming into wild thing. We're gonna reach our right leg up to the sky, bend the right knee, open up your hip, and maybe you stay here in three-legged dog, or you can roll onto your left hand and left foot, step the right toes back behind you, push into the feet, reach your arm up and over. Big breath in, and plank, chaturanga, upward dog, open the heart, exhale, downward facing dog. So emphasizing that lightness, we are going to try and hop to the top of the mat. So lift your heels up, bend your knees, look past your palms, and at the end of the exhale, hop up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Press to stand, arms reach up overhead, and hands at your heart. Second side, this time you're gonna grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Bring your left foot back behind the right one and crescent over. So you're pushing out into your left hip. Inhale to center, switch sides. Hold on to the right wrist. Center, interlace your hands behind you the more unusual way, so the other thumb on top. Shrug the shoulders down, open up. Standing back bend here. Coming back through to center, eagle arms on the other side. Elbows out, bend your right arm and bring it under the left once or twice. Bend into your knees and you're gonna wrap your right thigh over your left, maybe looping the toes back. Draw your navel in. A little bit of core engagement here in the pose. And staying with these eagle arms, you're gonna find warrior 3, right leg stretches back behind you. Keep your hips leveled, be light on your toes. So what does the element of air represent for you? Standing splits, fingertips down, stretch it up, and downward facing dog. You're welcome to hang out here, or we can go into our wild thing on the other side. Left leg rises, bend your left knee, open up your hip, and start to rotate on right hand, right foot. Push into your left foot, reach your left arm up and over. Plank pose, take your time. Chaturanga, upward dog, downward dog. Before we go into our yin yoga portion, let's just come down onto our bellies. So it's up to you. You're either going to come into locust pose, lifting arms and legs off the floor, or coming into bow pose, bending into your knees, catching a hold of the outer ankles. Try to keep your thighs and knees hip-width distance apart, pushing in, and we all squeeze as we lift up. Two more breaths wherever you are. And release on down. And let's press back, easy child's pose. Keep your knees together. Let your spine naturally round, forehead to the floor, arms extending back. Taking longer, deeper breaths. Transitioning away from the active part of our practice and moving towards the passive or the receptive. And we're gonna make our way to puppy pose. You can do this one with or without blocks. So knees underneath your hips and maybe just walking your hands out, holding this one for a few minutes. I like to do it with blocks just to make it a little bit more challenging so that I can find my edge. So if you're using blocks, you'll need to bring your elbows onto the blocks, and you'll have to probably bend at your elbows, palms together, and then bring the palms towards the back of your head. So just choosing the option that feels the best to you here. Remember that the emphasis is on the quality of your breath as it flows in and out through your nose with ease and depth. We'll start to ease on out. If you're on blocks like me, start to straighten your arms. We can all walk our palms in. And before we go into our next pose, just move your props out of the way. It might feel good just to take a little cat and cow. We'll make our way into a laying chest stretch so you can come down onto your belly. Right arm out to the side, elbow bent at about a 90-degree angle or so, rolling over onto your right hip, right ear, and right shoulder. I like to bend my knees. I find it easier to stay in the pose. And I also like to push my left hand into the floor, but some people prefer to bring their left arm towards the low back. Just trying to open up and stretch through the front of your chest, into the pectorals, into your right shoulder, and down the bicep. And really feel this connection you have to the element of air, which really means the connection you have to every single person, every living being. We all breathe the same air. We all have this connection that links us to the heart. And the air is also a beautiful balance of yin and yang. So the inhale being more active, and the exhale being more passive. So air can be a great analogy for balance. And start to roll onto your belly. Before we go to the other side, we'll actually just come into a little Sphinx pose. So bringing your forearms on the floor, open up through your chest, just here for about a minute or so. Expanding through your heart, roll your shoulders down and away from your ears. We'll find our laying chest opener on the other side. Bring your left arm out to the side, bend the elbow at about a 90-degree angle, palm is flat to the floor. Roll this time on your left hip, left ear, left shoulder. And again, maybe you just push your right hand into the floor, or you might prefer to bring your hand to your low back. And I like to keep my knees bent, but just do whatever feels good for you at home. As long as you're getting a nice opening through left pectorals, shoulder, down the arm, it's all good. And let's begin to ease out. Instead of going back to that Sphinx pose for our little counter pose and transition, we're just going to press back once more to that easy variation of child's pose. So keep your big toes together, knees not very wide at all, so that your shoulders can rest on your thighs and your forehead can rest on the ground. Just a minute or so here, and really let your upper body be as relaxed and heavy as possible. And bring your arms out in front of you, push to lift. Grabbing your blocks, we'll make our way into supported fish pose, our last heart opener here, last back bend. So you can bring your blocks behind you, one to support the upper back between your shoulder blades, the other to support your neck or supporting the back of the head really. And lower your way down on one block first, and then the other. And maybe the legs go out straight into Savasana. You can take a hip opener if you prefer, just whatever feels the best for you. And placing your arms wherever they feel most comfortable. And take some deep breaths. And just relaxing into your props. And we're gonna ease into Savasana, so you can tuck your chin to your chest, move the first block away, and then the second one. Before lowering all the way down, check to see if there's any little movements here that would feel good to you. Otherwise, just settle into your final resting pose with your spine fully leveled. Noticing the effects of your practice. And tuning in to that element of air all around you, always. Start to wake back up. Stretch it out. Big breath in, big breath out. Roll over and take a seat. Notice the expansion and the space you've created within yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is one of the empowerments of air, to cleanse and clear. Saying a silent prayer of gratitude. And we close with the chant of Om. Inhale to chant, big breath in. Om. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. I hope you enjoyed this air element Yin to Yin practice. Please leave me a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel if you don't already. If you want more elemental classes, I have some more on YouTube. I believe I also have some more Yin to Yin yoga classes on YouTube. And I also have a Yin to Yin chakra series, which you can only find on my mobile app. So I'll link to all of that down below. Thank you so much. Namaste.